stuff goes in, the bad stuff goes out, and that we just have to keep pressing the good stuff in. So I'm a huge fan that we can control everything by what we start. So here's the last thought before we get to Q&A.
Yeah.
Every morning we have a choice, and that choice is to do something positive or to do something negative. You and I, we choose positive because it makes life better. And I hope that all of our listeners make that same choice. That's for sure.
That's right. Hello, everybody. My name's Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty. I also happen to be host of a show called The Closer Club, where even though you guys are catching it live today, for those that don't watch it today, they're going to be catching it live or catching it next week as the 103rd episode of The Closer Club. And today we have my very good friend, Mike Ferry, who is probably the best coach and trainer in the country, in my opinion. We spent a lot of time together, both in our offices in San Diego, now virtually for the trifecta. And Mike, I know there's a lot of people that are looking forward to this, so let's rock and roll.
Well,
Mike,
first of all, you again.
I know. So we've done my office, we've done San Diego, which was absolutely awesome and a great time. And now we're doing Zoom. So let's talk about, a lot of this is new experiences, right? And a lot of people are saying that people are saying they've never seen anything like this before. So my first question is, based on your experience, haven't we been in similar times like this in the past?
Well, there's no ifs, buts. The answer is yes. And I have to say to you, Alex, the people that I'm most concerned about in real estate today are those that started after 2012, because they've been in an upward trending market for 7-8 years, and they've never experienced what you and I are going through. And I had a call this morning with my partner in Russia, because we have a company in Russia also. So I was talking to some agents from Moscow this morning, and I said to them, the real challenge we face is, for our Florida friends, when there's a hurricane coming, you know about it several days in advance, and you can take precautions. If you're in Texas, Oklahoma, there's tornado times, and you know they're coming. If you go to the Northeast, which is a wonderful part of the world, and they have 7 feet of snow in 24 hours, you know what's coming. Seattle, the Emerald City, it only rains every day. So it's not like it's a new thing, but they know it's coming. The problem that we're experiencing today, Alex, is we can't see, we can't feel, we can't touch this terrible disease that's going around. So it's very terrifying to a lot of people. But what they have to understand is this is one of many of these life situations that is going to take place as long as they're in real estate. So I'll give you a couple of examples that you and I can relate to. 1972, and of course, a lot of our attendees weren't born in 1972.
Me neither. I was 78.
So I was a real estate agent in California. In the month of December, Alex, I had 3 escrows close, 2 FHA, 1 conventional. All 3, the interest rate was 18.5% for the buyer. In 1973, I know it's a shock. Mid-June, July 1973, we were closing at 2% to the buyers, FHA conventional. We made it through that time, and although we thought the world was coming to an end. 1987, Black Monday, the biggest stock market crash probably in the history of our country, outside of what happened 2 weeks ago. And of course, from 1929, we thought the world was ending. We made it through. The most terrifying moment in all of our lives had to be 9/11, and much more terrifying for those people up in New York City and that surrounding area. We never thought we would recover. I don't think I shared this with you, Alex. We had a superstar retreat at the Lowe's Hotel, Miami Beach, 1 month later. We had 2,600 great people, bought a ticket to attend. 500 showed up because of that 9/11 incident. I mean, people were terrified. We made it through that. 2007 to 2012, trillions of dollars lost. What's 5 or 6 million Americans lost their homes to foreclosure, and we made it through that. My son Matthew has a great line, and I don't know if you've had any time to spend with my son Matthew, but he's like Tom. I call Tom terrific, and Matt is really smart. And Matthew has an expression, this too shall pass. And I think the most important thing that you offer through the Closers Club as the president of is hope. Because that's what we have to keep the hope alive, that first of all, we'll all be healthy, and that our family and friends will be healthy, and then that this will pass soon. And it's going to pass soon, because every tragic moment has an end. I wish I could give you the day, but we've seen so much worse than we've seen today. I mean, and I hate to use the words we've seen worse, but we've seen worse.
Yeah.
When
Well, you know what's exciting?
6 million. Go ahead, please.
Well, no, I was going to say what's exciting is we're starting to see states open up. The governor of Florida is putting a task force together to already start reopening the state. You're going to see, I think I went for a run this morning, and a park that's been closed a state park that's been closed for the longest time, or a county park, was open this morning. I'm going to drive by after we're done to confirm that it's open. So we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I think we're going to be out of this sooner rather than later. So, but I agree with you, Mike. We've been through longer lasting times for sure.
But here's if I may say one more thing, Alex.
Please.
I want the people who have gotten involved in real estate from 2012 forward to understand that this is going to pass, but there's going to be other things take place in our future that are going to seem devastating. So
right.
We've always got to remember that we got to keep things in perspective. So I know you're trying to move around to make the connection.
Yeah, my signal keeps coming in and out. No, I love it. This is what it's about. If I showed you inside, my dog was right over there. So this is the one part of the rawness that we talk about. Now I have you on top of a garbage can. No lie, that's my outdoor garbage can. And I'm trying to mute in and out sometimes so you guys don't have to hear the chirping bird, which the vice president of our company has affectionately said he wants to come out and take care of for me. For every meeting that we do out here, there's a chirping bird. Talk to me about business decline. Should we expect a substantial decline in business if this continues? And if so, should the agents that you're coaching, or agents in general that are watching this, should they lower, if they have a business plan, because we know that's a big if, should they lower their expectations for the rest of this year?
Well, first of all, I do not see a major decline taking place. Now we're seeing an actual decline, but every market in the U.S. is seasonal to a degree, and every season you have ups and downs. And I had a broker yesterday that you met in San Diego, and he said to me, Mike, I'm just treating this as December, January. We're going to instead of one. Okay, and you folks are very fortunate in Miami, greater much a seasonal but a year-round market, where Naples, for example, is very seasonal. So we know that business goes up and down. So I'm saying to people, if they're not strong mentally, if they don't have good skills, it's going to beat them up a little bit. But here's the good news. Worst case scenario, we're going to have 4 million trends in the U.S. That's 8 million commission checks. The question then becomes, how many commission checks do you like to have? Now, the idea in question, which I thought was great, about lowering our expectations. Hey, they have a 1-year business plan. 3 months is complete. I am suggesting they do 3 one-month business plans now instead of doing anything else. And that is to keep 3 one-month business plans, one for April, one for May, one for June, one for May, one for June, one for July. And then at the end of the half-year mark, if they're off, adjust. But how about this? What if they adjust up? Because most of them will be in a position. So I'm telling people, don't lower your standards. Increase your skills, because that's what it's all about.
Now, Mike, I want you to repeat
skills, give them confidence to.
You said don't lower your standards, increase your, because you cut out on me there a little bit.
Okay, so don't lower your standards, increase the skills you have.
Got it.
Because skills give us the confidence to do the job, and that's the name of the game. But I'm saying don't lower your standards.
So, Mike, my Wi-Fi seems really strong. I'm not sure if it's your Wi-Fi. I'm going to come inside. We're going to get really personal, but since we're here, we might as well. Like, that's what my life with my boys are right there. That's probably the best picture to describe to describe my boys. They're going to be in the background of this, and we're going to have some background noise. So I will be playing with my mute button, if that's okay. So let's talk about leads. Let's talk about prospecting. Okay. The public, of course, is nervous, just like everybody who's watching this, as to how long this is going to last. So one of the things I've been hearing a lot from our agents have been the leads that are telling us, maybe I'm going to wait. Maybe I'll wait till this ends. I'll do something when this ends. And they're asking me, Alex, what do I do? Do I keep them? How much do I pressure them? If I'm Mike Ferry, what am I doing with the leads that are telling me maybe we wait till something ends?
Okay. So I'm thinking now that a lot of them have, they're going to think that Mike Ferry is possessed, okay? Because I'm going to say something they've never heard me say before. If all of the viewers write down the words understanding, kindness, and empathy, that is the most important thing we have to remember in conversations with the public today. We have to be more understanding of the fear. We have to be much more understanding of the fact that we have to be kinder and we have to be more empathetic. So here's the answer, Alex. Bucket A, those people that have to buy and sell now. You showed me the stats. There's a lot of people in the greater Miami market that are buying and selling at this moment as we speak. Bucket A is always critical, but now we have bucket B.
Okay.
The English people over the next 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks, once a week, emails, texts, conversations, market updates, neighborhood reports. See, here's the catch. When the door is opened again for this economy the way we want it to be, and that floodgate's open, those people are going to come pouring back into the market, the ones that are hesitating today. We want them to come back to your agents. We want them to come back to the people that they are most comfortable with. And that is going to be based on the communication that your agents have with those people for the next 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks. So I'm saying for the first time ever, hold on to those leads. Okay, incubate those leads. Pay attention to them. Be kind to them, because they're going to come back to the people they've had the strongest relationship with. So this is so much not Mike Ferry of the past, but it's the Mike Ferry today. And that's what we have to understand is the versatility.
Got it. So Mike, let me make sure I understand this correctly, because it is chopping in and out. I came in, I'm not sure if it's your Wi-Fi or mine, but there's a lot that I'm getting from it. I want to recap in case my sound happens to be really good, but maybe your sound's choppy or vice versa. Sure. The first group is that group that has a need to do something right now. And those are the people you're on them. That's bucket A. Bucket B are people that may be saying, I'll wait till something ends. And unlike the typical Mike Ferry, what you're saying there is stay in touch with them once a week, a phone call, a text, or an email, so that when the floodgates open up, you're ready to pounce again, right?
100%. Because remember, there has to be a level of confidence and trust on the public's part when they make the decision to do something. But everything always comes back to the word motivation. If the motivation is now, then we have to obviously use a stronger set of skills than a person who wants to do something in 60, 90 days. Watch, people are nervous. People are nervous. It's human nature.
Understood. Now, Mike, so let me talk to you. So we're calling it, we spent the last few minutes talking about sphere of influence. What if I'm going to be doing outside prospecting, right? Somebody who's not in my phone right now, somebody who doesn't know who Alex Vidal is or whomever else, who should I be calling? If I've already, for example, this is week number 6 of remote working for us, at least within our company, and I'm sure a lot of companies are the same way. By now, if I'm a good agent, I should have called everybody within my sphere. And we're already talking about what's the next, like, what else do I do? Who else do I call? Who else should I be calling? If I'm Mike Ferry, who else should I be calling?
Well, if we always think about this cell phone for most people in real estate has been the enemy. We didn't want to pick it up and call people because people wouldn't answer. They would open their cell phone. Oh, it's Alex and Mike, I don't want to talk to him. And we close it. Well, today, with this wonderful thing called home isolation, Alex, Mike, spouses, kids, dogs, cats, interruptions, distractions, if that phone rings, people run to answer. So here's what I'm being told today. This is great. Mike, 6 weeks ago, I called 25 people, 5 answer the phone. Today, I call 25 people, 22 answer the phone. So what I want them to think about is having an intelligent conversation that is reassuring, calming people down, feeding them information. But think about this, Alex. You know, it's a Saturday and you're not a real estate professional. You and your spouse go to the grocery store and you see a new listing sign down the street. The conversation in the car is always the same. I wonder if their home is as nice as ours. Probably not. I wonder what they're asking. I bet we could get more. I wonder where they're moving to. Well, those conversations don't exist today because people are in their homes. So here's the catch. The just listed, just sold phone call is the name of the game today. Every day I get reports from our clients saying, Mike, I made 30 contacts. I got 2 good leads. They're taking virtual listings every day from just listed, just sold. So past clients, centers of influence, just listed, just sold, and naturally those that have the skills, the for sale line or the expired listing, the withdrawn, etc. But the real money is just calling her because see, it shows that you're active in the area. It shows that you're knowledgeable when you make these calls. It shows your company is a force in the community. I mean, it's the way to go today. Whereas 8 weeks ago, you say to an agent, just listed, just sold. No, I'd rather brand myself. I'd rather do a marketing campaign. Today, the money's with the phone, and that's for you and I. That's good news.
There you go. I love it. It's funny because the principles haven't changed. If anything, you're going to get a greater return on your investment, which is the time you're putting forth to make these calls now than ever before. Now, you mentioned virtual. It's funny because really not much has changed. You just may have to do more of it, or actually, conversely, you will have, with less effort, have an even greater result because you're going to be talking to more people. Where before, to talk to 2 people, maybe you had to make 100 calls. Now you're making 30. So you may actually be getting the same results with less work on the prospecting side, at least. But you mentioned about virtual, Mike, and everything has shifted to virtual. You and I, we're doing this via Zoom, whereas I would have flown out to Vegas to do this interview with you at any point in time, right? We even talked about me going to Vegas to spend some time with you guys over there.
Yes.
And it's funny because you're doing everything virtual. Actually, more than me, 7 meetings a day. That's nuts. So what is virtual to Mike Ferry, and what are your best tips on how to do business virtually? Because it's a different animal by far.
But you know what's interesting to me, Alex, is I don't know if it's 10 or 15 or 20% of all the transactions in the United States annually are done virtually. Okay, ski resorts, second home resorts, golf resorts in Florida where people come in for the weekends. You know, for Sabrina and I, our home in Bulls, we were there 4 to 5 months a year. So that was a second home for us. So the truth is virtual is always the virtual we think of today. So first of all, we have to understand that if you take like Jeff Quinton, who's just a great agent up in New Jersey, he's in the Jersey Shore. Most of his business has always been done by phone or fax. So what is normal for some is new to others. That's called normal. So what I want them to understand is, first of all, you can take listings virtually. It's a little bit of a change. And change is what you and I are doing right now. So on March 15th, I told my staff, let's find the 300 best real estate brokers in the nation that we know. And let's do a 30 to 40 minute virtual seminar for them. So as you've mentioned, I've been doing 7 of these a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, since March 15th. So I've probably done 80 or 90 of these. The first one I did, Alex, and you'll get a kick out of this. After I was done, I said to Sabrina, these are awful. She goes, why? I said, because I'm 75 years old. My gray hair, my wrinkles, all my warts, my 4 chins all show live. I said, I need a makeup artist. At the retreat, I have a full-time professional makeup artist. They cake my face full of stuff, okay? and the camera is 600 feet away. Well, here's the virtual part that your agents have to get. Whereas in the past, we could role play and practice in the office, our scripts. We could role play on the phone with friends around the city, around the country. I want all of them to role play their listing presentation of the day live, like we're doing right here. They have to get used to being in front of a camera. They have to get used to seeing themselves the way you and I are looking at each other. Because to me, I feel like I can give you a virtual high five right now because I feel we're that close. And that's what you're trying to accomplish. But you've done hundreds of great interviews, and I've done 7,000 seminars. So I'm used to, as are you, having people watch us up close, up front, and personal. We need to get your agent to practice that part of this whole thing. Obviously, we need to explain to a seller how a virtual showing is going to take place. We need to explain to a seller how a virtual listing presentation. We have to set the parameters of that. You know, Bernie Gallerini, who you met out of Tennessee, a superstar beyond belief. I coached Bernie, and this is what he said to me, Alex. He said, we can still show property. We can take buyers to properties, but now we have a set of standards on how it's done. We go in separate cars. I have booties and gloves for them to wear. I have a sanitizer. I have a mask. But watch, I told my sellers, we only show property on Wednesday and Saturday only. That way the sellers don't have to have a lot of fear. So they set up the parameters. And I know that that's what you'll do inside your company, and that's what all these agents need to do. The hardest part of the virtual is understanding that it's live. So you're going to love this. Last week, I'm doing one of these, and the broker said to me, do you mind if I put on the screen right now, like some of the people watching? I said, of course. So you can picture on my screen, instead of your handsome face, there's two guys, you know, probably in their mid-30s, wearing a t-shirt, baseball caps on backwards. In the down left-hand corner is a lady with no makeup. And that's scary, okay, right off the bat, because I understand that. She's eating a salad with a toothpick in her mouth, watching the wind. So I stopped and said, folks, if you get a call right now and it's a come list me, you can't do it. So you therefore have to make sure that you're prepared every day of the day. You know, I mean, you and I get up in the morning, we prepare for the day, we get dressed for the day, and we do our jobs. So it's that little, there's two jokes going around that are kind of cute one-liners. A man says to his wife, there's a stranger out in the front yard walking on the sidewalk. Who is it? And the lady said, it's not a stranger, it's our neighbor without makeup on. So, you know, we hear those kind of things. We know the world is.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you, there is a video setting if you choose to. I don't have it on, but there is a video setting that you have to have your tech team show you that does let me see, I'm going to jump into it right now. You go to video settings, and there's a, let me see, I got to do this while we're on here. It says, okay. So you go to video settings, and then it says you could touch up my appearance. And I'm not sure if I'm showing up on the camera right now, but check this out. You ready?
Okay.
Look at that. No, all my wrinkles are almost all gone. My skin looks flawless. Looks like I have makeup on. And then I'm back to normal with the 41-year-old wrinkles and all that good stuff. So yeah. You don't need a makeup artist with Zoom. You save you some bucks there too. Mike, the last thing, so it's interesting, you know, you're right. I get a lot that you're so natural at interviewing people and it's so easy for you. What they don't realize is that, one, I've interviewed thousands of agents in my career, just in general recruiting. And yeah, this is the 100 and something episode, the 103rd episode of the show. So we have time in the saddle. And what people don't realize is that they don't equate as role playing as time in the saddle, but it is time in the saddle because it's just second nature. I had a good friend of mine, we were vacationing together for New Year's in North Carolina. He's a police officer and a pilot, a private pilot for planes like yours. And I asked him, I go, let me ask you a question. When you encounter something in the plane, an emergency, or you're out on the police force and something happens, God forbid somebody pulls a gun on you or somebody runs or somebody attacks you, you know, how do you handle that? That's high pressure, right? He goes, Alex, I spend thousands of hours training on my police force. I spend hundreds of hours to thousands of hours spending it in a flight simulator so that when it actually does happen, it's just muscle memory. And I know you referenced that in San Diego about the pilot for your plane, that the reason you have him is because he's got so many thousands of hours under him. Now, Mike, I'm going to wrap it up with one question, and then if people want to start adding some Q&A, we can. I'm a huge fan that it doesn't matter how good you are at doing virtual meetings, doesn't matter how good you are at picking up that phone and calling for sell by owners and expireds in your sphere of influence, doesn't matter how good you are at closing a deal. If you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, nothing else matters, right? That's been my saying for the longest time. You are one person that I have encountered that probably has the strongest, if not one of the strongest mindsets I have ever encountered in my life. What are some tips that you can share with the audience on how you are currently controlling the very real power of fear and negativity and getting focused and getting past it and getting focused on the activities that we should be doing?
Well, I think first and most, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. But I want to read a quote to you that I shared with some brokers in the West last week. And here's the quote. It's a full-time job not listening to the negativity as it is a full-time job to keep your mindset positive and strong. So I've always, you and I talked about mindset a lot in the wonderful books that we've had access to. But I've made it a life decision and a life career decision. I was only going to be positive during my waking hours. And I can't control when I'm asleep what happens. But here's something that I haven't watched the news on TV or the radio or listened in 40 years. I don't even have an interest in the news because there's nothing positive for you and I in our lives in the news. So I'm going to say first, stop watching the news. I mean, watch, there's a pandemic. We know what's on. So I don't need to hear about it all day long. It doesn't enhance my life. But second is to limit the social media exposure, because so much of the social media today has a negative influence because people are expressing personal opinions. But then what I also want to say is I have learned to do something which I know you would do the same. I can sit and talk to a person. I can smile, nod my head up and down, and never hear a word they say if they're negative. I just won't allow it in my head. So if we took, because we have to do that at times, but if each of our great attendees today would take 10 to 15 minutes, 3 times a day, what I call a mindset break, and they read any good book for 3 or 4 or 5 pages. I mean, if you listen to the Darren Hardys and the Tony Robbins and the Brian Tracy's and the Zig Ziglars and the Earl Nightingales and all these unbelievable speakers, I've listened to every day of my life. YouTube, and there's thousands of inspirational stories and messages. 3 times a day, all of our great listeners and viewers take 15 minutes to fill their mind with good ideas. Then, you know, as my friend Daryl Turner says, the good stuff goes in, the bad stuff goes out, and that we just have to keep pressing the good stuff in. So I'm a huge fan that we can control everything by what we start. So here's the last thought before we get to Q&A.
Yeah.
Every morning we have a choice, and that choice is to do something positive or to do something negative. You and I, we choose positive because it makes life better. And I hope that all of our listeners make that same choice. That's for sure.
That's right. Now, Mike, I'm going to allow people, there's something I want to add to that, but I have to get up to my dining room table and get it. So while I do that, if there's anything you want to add, people submit your Q&As in the chat or in the Q&A section. I'm going to go get what I want to show people, and I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute it because there's noise all over my house. I'll be right back.
Good. So for all of our great viewers, I was asked yesterday, what is the best book to read in today's environment? There's a wonderful book called The Essence of Success. The Essence of Success by a Florida resident, Earl Nightingale, who most of you know that name. Earl lived most of his life down in the greater Tampa area, St. Petersburg. But The Essence of Success by Earl Nightingale, Alex, I'm just saying, is probably the best book to read in today's environment. And you have to go online to buy it because it's 102-page stories that are all positive, written by Earl Nightingale, who is the master of positive thinking. So any Q&A, any questions anybody has that we might?
We do, and I want to add to something really quick on the positive mindset. So to me, I work out every single day. There's a saying, John Assaraf taught me, and I know you and I have John in common, where John talked about, are you interested or are you committed? And what's funny about it is we talk about physical fitness, and we were talking about how we, because of time, we are committed to physical fitness to the point that my wife and I'm taking you into my garage here for a minute, Mike, because we're live and screw it, why not? Like I have an entire CrossFit gym in my garage. So, and I walk in through my garage and I leave and I walk out through my garage, and that maintains my commitment to fitness. But it takes an equal amount of commitment to positivity in my mind. And what I have with my commitment to positivity and to my mindset is I have my journal, and this journal is with me every single day. And similar to what Earl Nightingale and Think and Grow Rich, which I know you have the special editions of, I have 25 manifestations in here that are typewritten, and I repeat these to myself 3 times a day, morning, lunch, and dinner. And then after that, what I do is at the end of every single night, I write down minimum 3 to 5 things for which I'm grateful for. And on a really bad day, like this particular Tuesday, it was a bad day, I wrote 25 things for which I was grateful for to remind me that even on the bad days, you have a lot to be thankful for and grateful for. And so I put an equal amount of effort that I put in my physical fitness that I put into my mindset. And I almost, and this is going to sound bad, I almost think it's cheating. Everybody's asking me how I'm doing right now during this, everything that's going on. I'm like, I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. I'm like, there's 5 people behind my computer right now. Ask any of the 5. I'm doing amazing. And I almost feel bad. It almost doesn't feel sincere, but I feel that way because of this, you know? Anyways, you got to work at it. You got to work at it. So let's see what the questions are, Mike, now that we're here. So Valeria Rodriguez asked, most of the buyers I am working with think the market will drop tremendously, and they want to hold on to buy even though they're going to be holding on even though they could. They are sure the market will drop and that opportunities will show up eventually. What are your thoughts, and what is your advice in order to push the sale?
2 thoughts. One is everything comes down to the motivation of the buyer or seller. If we can identify the motivation, then we know if it's now or the future. So it sounds like these people are not highly motivated to buy at this time. But the second thought, the hardest thing for agents to accept is that nationwide there's an inventory shortage. It's the greatest shortage we've experienced in 50 years. I wasn't a good student in school, but I took economics and I loved it because I understood that when you have a big supply, prices drop. And when you have a limited supply, prices stabilize and go up. Last Thursday, Alex, Sabrina said we have to go to the grocery store. Well, I'm 75, so I'm not allowed to go in the store and be around people. So I'm in the car. She comes out with that mega smile she always has. And here's what she says to me. 2 weeks ago, you could not buy toilet paper. And if you did, it was like $25 a roll. She goes, Mike, it's on sale. There's so much of it, it's on sale, okay, in the stores here in Vegas. So supply and demand. I would say to your agent that submitted this question, if the motivation is strong, you need to get those people to buy, because when the floodgates open, prices are going to start to rise, and they're going to rise quickly because of demand. Inventory shortage is our greatest asset today in real estate because it stabilizes the prices. Fair enough?
Fair enough. I agree with you 100%. Again, motivation over fear. Now, talk to me. The next one is the new immigration suspensions. Many of our international clients that wanted to purchase are now holding off, thinking that Trump is, putting in all these immigration rules. Any thoughts on how to address this with these potential buyers? South Florida, we have a huge influx of South Americans, right, that are buying in South Florida. But now Trump's kind of, messing around with immigration. How do we deal with that?
Well, first of all, it's a 60-day ruling he put in place. It wasn't a lifetime ruling, okay? Second, and I don't know immigration laws well enough, because Las Vegas, we don't have an immigration problem. We're trying to find people to come here, okay? So we're in a different market, okay? Now, granted, we have 885,000 visitors every weekend, okay, in Las Vegas, but they're not immigrating. But I would think that the sophisticated person coming from South America, Mexico, and Europe could still buy through a limited LLC that they could establish virtually in 24 hours if they really had the desire to buy. And I would think that probably could assist through good legal advice, help around that problem. But then it goes back again to the motivation situation. I mean, if the motivation is high enough, your agents are smart enough and are the legal system smart enough to help a buyer buy. So I would say make sure you have a good, strong conversation with an immigration attorney on that. I wish I knew more about that. It's not part of our economy,
No,
unfortunately.
but that's a good question. Talk to an immigration attorney, right? That's not a bad way to attack it. Attack somebody who can actually help that problem. Another question is, what's the best way to? There's a lot of hedge fund money coming into the area, so somebody wants to know. Lauren wants to know, how can she get in touch with hedge fund people?
I don't even have a clue. I would,
Fair. All right. Valentina Tachensko is on this. She's one of our agents who also provides a lot of motivational support to other agents in the company. She actually even teaches Zumba classes for some of our agents as well. She's giving back, which is awesome. And one of her questions is, one action new agents would do right now. One action new agents must do.
They have to build their center of influence file starting as soon as we hang up this call. I mean, that is the single most thing they can do. And I can give her two others, but that you said one, and so I'll stay with that one.
All right. So give me the other two.
Okay. They have to start previewing property virtually, because they got to know the towers, they got to know the apartments, they got to know the square footage costs, they got to know the types of services in the properties that are available. So previewing is always a high priority. And then third, if you're not willing to pick up the phone and start prospecting, go back to Walmart, go back to your old job. I mean, you issues of people to have any chance whatsoever. So I would think 1, 2, and 3 is probably really important to them all.
Sure. You know, it's funny. And this was pre-corona, I used to think broker opens were a waste of time. And I really realized, particularly in the higher end, you had to go to broker opens to really forget the free lunch. I used to think people would go for the free lunch and the free alcohol. And you really realize the smart ones were going, but they weren't even eating or drinking. They were truly previewing the property so that they knew what their competition looked like and what was out there to be able to speak to buyers in an intelligent format.
I've always said on that broker's open house thing, see, your purpose is to understand the value of the property. A listing presentation, you can talk intelligently. So I agree with that 100%.
You got it. Mike, that's all the questions I see coming on. We have 100 attendees. We kept them on the entire 30. That number did not drop. So that's a huge win, even with the bad connection. Well, there's one of my kids. Now they got to say hello. Say hello, Aiden. There he is. That's my 13-year-old. You want to talk about committed, not interested? I'll look outside and that kid's running sprints and kicking soccer goals all day long. It's crazy with his brothers, Luke and Kyle. Mike, thank you so much for your time. We kept everybody on, man. To me, that's a win. Actually, you know what? We got to get a picture. So I got to get a picture for promotional purposes. So Mike, why don't you go ahead and smile? I'm going to smile. We got it. And thank you again, Mike. I appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, please send them over to me. Email me, alex@relatedisg.com. I'll get them over to Mike. Mike, how can they reach you if they want to reach out to you?
I have a very complicated email address, okay? And it's because people say you must be old. That's why you have this address. Mike.Ferry@MikeFerry.com.
There you go.
And I can't forget it. Okay. Alex, 2 thumbs up and a virtual high five. Thank you for today. I appreciate it.
My friend. I look forward to seeing you again in person next time, Mike. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Soon.
Bye, everybody.
Buddy.